Hey all, welcome back to the Lost Echoes devlog. For October, I've been focused on adding in dream effects, setting up a new dream system, designing a desert dreamscape, and starting a city dreamscape along with laying out a grocery store. Let's get into it. It occurred to me that I've been just kind of gliding along with features and systems, and I'm not really talking about design or the ideas behind them. So today I wanted to pull back the curtain a little bit on the why behind these dreams and start with the system itself. There are 3 tiers of dreams I have planned out. Tier 1, dreams you cannot tell are dreams. Tier 2, dreams you might be able to tell are dreams, but not immediately. Tier 3, dreams you can definitely tell are dreams. Much of this matches up with concepts with real-world dreams to some extent. Many concepts for these dreams I've been working on have been dreams I've had over the years. The forest and the grocery store I've been working on are prime examples, but there are additional ones I have planned out that I will be adapting for the setting. Those types will be categorized under Tier 3 or Tier 2. Ever had the kind of dream where you wake up and go about your day only to wake up for real? That's what I consider to be Tier 1. It's an exact copy of the station, you wake up, and you might be able to do a couple things, only to wake up again. For the first week of October, I continued expanding the dream system. I added in more screen effects and started designing the desert dreamscape. The effects are expanding HUD elements, by allowing me to adjust color values, saturation, contrast, brightness, as well as chromatic aberration and animated distortions. I went about setting up a dream profile system so that I could quickly pass a single value to choose a profile rather than remembering multiple numbers and settings. This allows me to quickly change HUDs between an altered state and a default state. I also re-implemented the sleep and hit markers into this single hit effect just to make things more simpler. For the design of the desert dreamscape, it's actually based off of something else within the Spirit Tamer universe, but I'm not going to get into deeper details for what that is. For the second week, I spent most of my time implementing the system I was describing at the beginning. Right now it's randomly selecting dreams from tiers based off of survival values I've already been tracking, but I'll be refining this system further so that it is picking up dreams based on underlying player needs in some way. I also finished up the desert dreamscape. I fixed the ground textures to make them seamless, added in the interaction areas, and added in area boundaries so that when the player goes too far outside the center of the map, the sandstorm will consume them and they will wake up. For the third and fourth week, I worked on the grocery store, and I finished up the first pass for the shopping area, the storage area, and the deli. I didn't have any reference images or floor plans while designing the grocery store. I very much went in with a Bob Ross mentality and eyeballed everything purely on vibes for what I felt like looked right. I'm gonna be real though, a lot of the process was a bit of a blur, because I was mostly focused on making shelves, freezers with shelves, checkout lanes, shelves, and other shelves. A lot of these are reusing materials out of pure convenience. The workflow was pretty straightforward though. I'd start with a basic blockout shape, test how it looked in the game, then, after any adjustments, make 3 collections in Blender. One holding the original base blockout model, one to hold the bake groups, and one to hold the final model. The bake group would be further broken down into low poly models and high poly models. High poly models are usually broken down into multiple parts, and then procedural materials are used in what I consider a logical way, such as customizing the direction for the grain of wood, or the direction that the brushed metal should be going. It's then given a high bevel, and I bake the collection of high poly models onto the lower poly model to generate the color, metal value, roughness, and normal maps. I generally use QBake to generate textures from the high poly models and apply it to the low poly models. Originally I would do a manual bake, but that could take somewhere around 3 to 4 hours. There seems to be a loss in quality for some textures when doing QBake versus the manual method, so just a heads up for something to keep an eye out for if you're looking at different methods. It's something I will probably revisit in the future, but just having textured models in the game to test it is a good start. I'm still debating how I want to go about stocking the shelves. Like, there's the standard way of doing things and putting in static objects, but it'd also be a lot of fun to make everything more dynamic. That would involve a lot of work, though, such as generating decals for the flour or liquids, modeling broken bottles or fruits, and maybe a particle system for macaroni or rice. Plus, I have no idea how Godot would handle a couple hundred physics objects stacked up close together on shelves. It's a fun idea, but it's something I have to revisit later. Back around January, I set up a framework for the food fabricator as part of the main game. It's basically using two models and then dynamically adjusting the UV coordinates based off of text that is inputted to provide multiple different objects. I'm already committed to making a lot of those objects as part of that system, so whenever I commit to finishing up the backend for the fabricator, I'll also work on adding those same items to the grocery store during the next pass. Finally, I added in doors connecting those areas and started testing out lighting, shadows, and reflection probes. Anyways, that's all I have for this month. If you liked the video or felt like I could have gone more technical or in-depth with what I was covering, feel free to yell at me down in the comments. Until next time, take care.